for Douglas, what is your reaction to the UK Supreme Court declaring that the definition of a woman is, well, we should include you in this too. It's about women, is based on biological sex and excludes transgender people. Yeah, this was a big ruling this week in England. The Supreme Court, their definition of woman is biological sex. To put it in shorthand, J.K. Rowling won.
Yes. J.K. Rowling won. Everyone who said this for years has won. All the, particularly women who've been defamed.
The lights flare. The applause roars. Welcome to a battlefield of ideologies. Bill Maher opens the arena with unapologetic force, flanked by sharp minds. To his left, Douglas Murray, provocateur, intellectual, and author of On Democracies and Death Cults. To the right, libertarian wordsmith Matt Welch. Center stage, Senator Tina Smith, emblem of progressive politics. The mood is tense. The issue. The UK Supreme Court just ruled that the definition of woman is grounded in biological sex. A win, Murray declares, not just for J.K. Rowling, but for common sense itself. Biology fought back against ideology. The crowd erupts.
And lied about and bullied and chased and much more for years. They were right. And I just think, apart from being a statement of the obvious, isn't it amazing that the best legal minds in Britain spent years having to work out the first thing we knew as a species?
But just to be clear, we're not saying there's not such a thing as trans, right? We're not saying there's not such a thing as someone who is, quote unquote, born in the wrong body.
I don't think people get born in the wrong body now.
Oh, I do.
I do.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a default setting for humans.
Yeah.
Like, we should acknowledge that. It's not just every time there's a baby, ooh, who knows what the fuck it is. That's crazy. But there are...
Beyond me, yeah.
But there are variations.
There are variations.
Homosexuality.
That's right. It's a continuum.
And then, you know, but it's how we handle that.
That's
you know?
right.
I mean, and I think we would agree that, you know, children.
Murray's tone hardens. For years, women who spoke biological truth were smeared, harassed, erased. Today, they stand vindicated. It's insane, he insists, that it took elite legal minds years to say what every toddler already knows. Maher leans in. Let's be clear, we're not denying trans people exist. Smith pushes back gently, but the message is clear. Reality and compassion must coexist, not collide. Welch adds, this isn't about hatred, it's about drawing the line where facts get buried. What we're witnessing isn't progress, it's cultural gaslighting masquerading as inclusion.
And this is where America is now an outlier country. We're the only country that went full, and I guess Trump is reversing it, but certainly under Biden, who went fully toward that. Like, we don't care what age, kids can self-diagnose themselves. I mean, that to me was going way too far on this. Again, nobody just comes back to the sensible center.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the sensible center is that, like, you respect people, you trust parents, you let parents figure out what to do with their kids, and you don't need a bunch of politicians in Washington making decisions.
But that is not the Democratic position, at least here in California.
Well, that's my position.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Good. I think that's where the Democratic Party should. That is not the position that we've had here in California, which is like, don't tell the parents what the kids are doing at school. That's a whole, and that you really alienate voters.
Yeah.
Parents are voters. When you're not a parent yet, you know, it's like, oh, voting, whatever, you know.
Sex is not a spectrum.
Maher grows more animated. America has become the global outlier, he declares. While Europe pauses to reassess, we dive headfirst into chaos. Children self-diagnosing, states withholding truth from parents. That's not liberalism, he says. That's lunacy. Tina Smith nods. Respect parents. Let families decide. But California, that's a different beast. Welch notes the political cost. Ignore parents, and you alienate voters. Period. Gender debates have left the center behind, replaced with ideological absolutism and bureaucratic control. Sex is not a spectrum. It's a species truth being rewritten by zealots.
It's male and female. There are some people with very unusual conditions who deserve absolute sympathy and support. But that does not mean that we're a hermaphroditic species. We're just not.
No, but
Well, that's not it.
No, not the whole species. But this goes back, I don't want to use the term chicks with dicks, but I could. This goes back to like ancient Rome, and like there was always people who were like not quite one.
It's not hard to get to toleration and acceptance without rewriting biology.
Right. Right.
It's a norm. That's your
go.
normal term.
Yeah. What is the legacy of Paul Revere's Midnight Ride, which was 250 years ago today? The fact that no under 40 knows what the fuck I'm talking about. That's the legacy of that.
Maybe 60.
Yeah, right.
Maybe 60.
Well, maybe the legacy is that we decided we didn't want a king, and what the fuck?
The conversation takes a sharp left turn. RFK Jr.'s latest headline grabber. He promises to uncover the root cause of autism by September. Maher nearly spits out his drink. That's OJ-level delusion, he scoffs. Welch agrees. This kind of rhetoric is why people call him a quack. Yet buried in the noise is a question worth asking. What if it's not just genes? Maher wonders. What if it's the air, the food, the plastic? He's not defending RFK. He's demanding we look at the world we've poisoned. I'm alive today, he says, because I was born before the planet got this sick.
Here we have one.
Right. There you go. What does the panel think of RFK Jr. announcing he will find the cause of autism by September of this year?
I think that's when OJ finds the real killer. I think it's.
Well, he's dead, so that's not going to happen. Well, I would say, this is why people think he's a quack, because you're not going to put a date on something they've been looking into for 30 years.
That's right.
And say, we're going to have it by September. It's not going to be, it's the gummy bears.
But that might be something. That might be something you say if you think you already know the answer to the question you're asking, and you're going to deliver the answer in September,
he
right?
Did speak on what I read in the paper is he did speak on it this week.
Plastic in the bloodstream. Microtoxins in the lungs. Fireborne chemicals floating through California's skies. The group dives into the toxic truth of modern life. Tina Smith reminds us, environmental decline isn't just real, it's personal. Welch injects some nuance. Rich countries pollute less over time. It's the Kuznets curve in action. But Maher isn't having it. Tell that to the kid inhaling a credit card's worth of microplastic every week. Acceptance isn't apathy. Progress doesn't erase the damage. We're cleaner, yes, but clean enough? Hardly.
And I did not agree with the point of view of the article I was reading, which was that he's completely crazy because he was saying it's not mostly genetic, it's mostly environmental toxins. I happen to believe that's probably a more likely answer. And they were saying, well, no, genetics, and of course genetics is involved in everything health-wise. But to present the argument I saw framed in that way, that he's a kook because he thinks it's coming. Environmental toxins is really the story of my lifetime. I'm glad I was born as old as I am at a time when everything wasn't completely polluted. I think that's why I'm still alive today. And it just got worse and worse and worse.
But Bill, the air is less polluted, the water is less polluted. As countries get richer, they pollute less. When they're industrializing, they pollute more. There might be individual environmental toxins, yes, but as a broad description of the status of OECD countries, we are polluting on net less.
The economic pulse quickens. Trump wants Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell gone. Legally, he can't fire him, unless Powell suddenly turns corrupt or incompetent. But in Trump's world, discomfort is justification. This is why institutions matter, says Smith. The Fed must stay above politics. But Welch isn't convinced Powell is safe. Trump's not interested in rules, he's interested in obedience. And if Powell stumbles on live TV, forget monetary policy. He'll be out before the closing bell.
It depends on where you live, first of all.
That's right.
Out here in California, I believe I'm breathing in the fire still. The fire burned a lot of this city, and a lot of this city had plastic in their home. And we were already getting, they say, a credit card's worth of plastic in our body on a weekly basis. So I don't know what you're talking about, like it's better than it used to be.
I'm talking about I can see the mountains from Long Beach, which I couldn't growing up. I mean, we pass rules, we do cleaner tech over time, and all rich countries do this. It is a process. It's a whole theory of the case called the Kuznets curve. It's a thing. It's worth reflecting on and respecting too.
Okay. Well, you may be sanguine about that. Maybe that's a libertarian in you. But this is what I worry about more than anything, is the plastic in my head.
America's not just divided, it's combusting. Trump throws rhetorical grenades while democratic institutions scramble for cover. Tina Smith warns of a government on the edge, where decisions are shaped by vendettas, not vision. Maher grits his teeth. When truth becomes optional, tyranny becomes inevitable. Powell may be a technocrat, but even technocrats can be casualties in a culture war. The room tightens. The stakes aren't abstract, they're existential. And in this war, reality doesn't stand a chance without defenders.
Because someday it's just going to...
I worry about it too.
You should. You should. After Trump said Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's termination can't come fast enough, do you think Powell will last until the end of his term next May? Now, the president is absolutely not allowed to fire the head of the Federal Reserve, right?
And then not unless he just commits, massive malfeasance. And, Jay Powell has said, you can't fire me and I'm not going to leave. So this is a classic example of why we do want parts of our government to be independent from political influence, particularly the parts of our government that are going to have a big impact on the long-term strength of our economy. So.
I give it to December. You can make a person uncomfortable, and Donald Trump right now is on a making people uncomfortable spree. He's trying to light fires everywhere, and it'll be difficult for Powell to stay in this job.
Also, we're at war. We're at war with Venezuelan gangs.
Yes,
so when
right.
you're at war, you can do anything, right? Wasn't that the argument
yes.
they'll make? I mean, they'll just make it up. This is what happens when you lose all your power.
There's one way he'll get fired immediately, which is if he's bad on TV.
He doesn't go on TV.
As the curtain falls, the panel leaves the audience with a sobering truth. Democracy isn't dying, it's being devoured. Devoured by cults of delusion. By politicians who weaponize identity. By citizens too scared to speak truth. Maher's grin fades. This is what happens when you lose all your power. You just make it up. Murray nods. Freedom is fragile. You don't get it back by asking nicely. Tina Smith, Matt Welch, they don't always agree. But tonight, they all see the same battlefield. And it's not left versus right anymore. It's reality versus madness.